Join the movement of Californians saving energy at home. And together, we can take on climate change. Text JOIN to 72222 to join the Keep It Golden movement.
Paid for by Energy Upgrade California. Keep It Golden.
Paid for by OpenShare Concepts. Attention firefighters, members of the military, and airport workers. For decades, first responders and firefighters at military bases and airports used a chemical-based foam to fight fires. Studies have shown that chemicals used to make aqueous film-forming foam, or AFFF, are highly toxic to humans and have been associated with several types of cancer. If you or someone you know was exposed to AFFF and were diagnosed with any of these cancers, including kidney, bladder, prostate, pancreatic, lymphoma, leukemia, testicular, and neuroendocrine, then you should call us immediately because you may be entitled to significant cash compensation. Call us at 800-516-3398. Our experienced attorneys will fight to get you the compensation you deserve, and you pay nothing unless we get a recovery in your favor. Time is limited to file a claim, so call us now, 800-516-3398. Operators are standing by 24/7, so don't wait. 800-516-3398. That's 800-516-3398. Again, 800-516-3398. If you bought an auto warranty in the last year, you paid too much, and you probably didn't get bumper-to-bumper coverage or maintenance included. So what are you actually paying for? What if we told you that you could get all these benefits and more for 40% less per month than what the other guys are charging? In these hard economic times, we have auto insurance for accidents, but when unexpected repair bills hit, our biggest expenses can be our cars. So why overpay for an auto warranty? If you own a car, truck, or SUV made from 2000 to today, you can stop paying for covered repairs. That's right, bumper-to-bumper coverage with maintenance included. Call now to find out if your car qualifies. 800-973-2940. Already have an auto warranty? No problem. Call us and we'll help you save instantly. Call today to get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. And ask about our free roadside assistance. 800-973-2940.
I'm Doug.
And we're back with Limu, Emu, and Doug for the final question. Category is things you climb. All right, Limu, what do you think? You sure? We're going with Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need. Oh, so close. We were looking for stairs. Huh. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, we love you in Canada and Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south, in the land of the free and the home of the brave on the beautiful July the 6th, 2021. Going to the Deportes. Bonjour, Big C. The Vidi Vici. How's it go for you good old boys down south?
Charlton, I'm a little mentally and physically drained last night from watching such an outstanding hockey game up in Montreal last night,
goodness.
Charlton, but we're going to go to a Game 5 now in the Stanley Cup chase. Once again, I want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses and doctors and first responders. They didn't even have to hand out stitches in Montreal last night.
They sure did not have to. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars also all around the world. Just say Google or Alexa play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear welcome to the show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic. He'll do his thing from 3,000 miles away, and I really do appreciate the way things have grown with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Spotify. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you better have a smart TV, or you'll be sitting there looking at a still picture. Man, I love pausing, Big C. They paused and they partied hard last night north of the border. It was a nice send-off because they'll probably have to celebrate for them losing, but at least accomplishing getting to the Stanley Cup. Those good old boys, the Lightning down in Tampa, are doing their thing. But I will never pause on our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. And Big C, more people are doing it from sea to shining sea. Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, as we look at the stress that goes on in arenas and stadiums from the fans and the excitement and the jovialism We have to understand the stress that goes on every day in society in America. It starts with our youth and it goes all the way through our senior citizens. Stress is real. Mental issues are real in America. And unfortunately, when we look at that, Charlton, we forget about our military veterans more often than not.
Yep.
And we lose over 24 of those great people a day, Charlton, to suicide,
Wow.
as well as many other just main citizens in America, Charlton.
Yep.
We have to pay a lot of attention to mental health. I know fans are distracted now because sports are going full bore with the NBA playoff, the NHL playoff, the NFL season, 65 days away, Charlton. Major League Baseball All-Star Game is coming close.
Yep.
But think about those people who are troubled mentally, Charlton, in America, financially in America, physically in America. And many of them feel they have no way out, Charlton, and they turn to suicide. We give out the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number, Charlton, but we need all Americans to pay as much attention to mental health as they do to sports. And if they pay that type of attention to mental health to those people that are around them, Charlton, hopefully as a country we can stop some of this horrific suicide that is going on.
Very well said, Big C. There was a song called No Way Out. Back in the day, some good old boys sang it. We want to make sure that military veterans and their loved ones always have a way out. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And you can definitely get some help for our veterans and their loved ones. Also very happy to be affiliated with Valley, home with weekly TV on Dish TV, DirecTV, AT&T Uverse, TV 53, home of the first place San Francisco Giants, and the Say Hey Kid, as well as the home run king Barry Bonds. When you reach out to him, just tell him Big C sent you. Our goal is simple: recruit 10,000 real estate agents and brokers all over this great country, helping to put people back to work, just like McDonald's does it, car dealerships are doing it, Nike does it. Watch TV and real estate work for you. 800-772-8624. If you're looking for opportunities in real estate, go to bigcsports.pacwm.com. Most of our loans are underwritten by Rocket Mortgage, the #1 lender in the country on the wholesale side. When you want to get a loan, don't just be sure, be Rocket sure. It's all fair and love and war. I also want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like God said in Genesis 1:3. Let there be light. Open your cell phones and say it. Play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see all of our apps pop up from all over the world, and I really do appreciate the way things have grown with Big C Sports. You know, Big C, I'm telling you, we were just talking about so many sports and people doing their thing and trying to stay, you know, happy and motivated. People are going out to California, Yosemite National Park. They're touring Yellowstone National Park and over in Wyoming, Big C. They're going out to the Statue of Liberty in New York City if they can escape all the rats that are out there trying to get them off the boat, Big C. But people are starting to open up. But going up to Canada, they haven't opened up as much as we have. But I want to say congratulations to everybody in Canada and Montreal that supported the NHL Hockey Stanley Cup playoffs, Big C. The Montreal Canadiens stayed alive. Remember that song back in the day, Bee Gees? Staying alive, staying alive. The great John Travolta, Big C. They stayed alive. Their pursuit of Lord Stanley's Cup in the final series against the Tampa Bay Lightning, Big C. It's hard to stay alive when you get hit by lightning, but they defeated the visitors, Big C. It was 3-2, but it did take overtime Monday in Canada at the Bell Center, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, an outstanding game played by the Montreal Canadiens, you know, to stay alive in the Stanley Cup Finals, Charlton, because they were down 0-3 and they could not afford to lose another one. Otherwise, they would have been swept.
Yeah.
But I also have to look at that from a different perspective, Charlton.
What's that?
The Tampa Bay Lightning really want to win the game up in Montreal. They played well enough, but they didn't try to pursue it in the end.
Yeah.
You know, if they go home and you know, finish it up in front of that home crowd, Charlton, what a more memorable moment to win a championship. And I'm kind of thinking that the Lightning were thinking that also, Charlton, when it got to overtime, let's just take this home and win it in front of our fans and start the parade early.
Yeah, you know, Big C, I think the mayor of Tampa Bay said the same thing. Came on a little bit of ridicule because there's real conversation and there's phony conversation. There's so many butterflies flying around. That means there's a lot of good things happening in nature, Big C. But the same thing that the mayor took a little bit of heat from is saying, wait a minute, you never want to take your foot off the gas. But in reality, Big C, I don't think Montreal ever had the lead in this series until this final game and at the end of this final game? Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, that's the only time that Montreal has led in this series. They've been down the first 4 games all throughout the 3 quarters of regulation in each one of those games, Charlton.
Yeah.
So it came down to overtime for them to finally take the lead in a game and win a game in this series. So during regulation, they've been totally dominated by Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is looking to repeat as Stanley Cup champions, Charlton, and I think they'll close out the series when they get back home tomorrow night in Tampa. But I mean, they fought gallantly.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about Montreal, not just willing to roll over, being down 0-3.
Yep.
But that's a difficult hill to climb on ice, Charlton, being down 0-3, trying to get back to the top.
Especially when there's lightning in the forecast. The Canadiens' right wing, Josh Anderson, scored 2 goals, including the game winner, as you're talking about, Big C, when they took that lead again with 3:57 in overtime. Montreal completed a 4-minute penalty kill following Shea Weber high-sticking penalty of just 58 seconds earlier. Now, ironically, Big C, you know, what you said about maybe they wanted to celebrate at home, and the mayor of Tampa was saying the same thing. Tampa Bay outshot Montreal 34-21, Big C, and they hit 3 goal posts on the night, including one from Nikita Kucherov, with 2:27 remaining in the third, and the score tied at 2. Big C, they almost doubled it up. 34-24 is a football beatdown, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, they've been attacking, you know, on ice, Charlton. I mean, they put consistent pressure on the Montreal goaltender throughout this series, and they're not going to slow down once they get it home. And that's the key to a hockey game, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's putting shots on goal.
Yeah, putting shots on goal. It was 34-21 shots on goal, so they played aggressive. But maybe they've been like, Bobby Brown, what do you call it? Wide right, Big C at Florida State football. Big C, your thoughts? And back in the day, Florida State was always kicking the ball wide right. It's all fair and level war. And they're also from Florida, Tampa Bay, if that makes sense to you. But Tampa Bay was defeated the Dallas Stars in last year's Lower Stanley Cup final, Big C. Them good old boys, they lead Montreal 3-1 in the best-of-7 matchup. And I'm going to ask you a dumb question, and I know you're really honest when you said that. Do you feel that athletes would rather, in this environment, take the foot off the gas and win it at home, or was it just a status of wide right, wide left? Nick, see your thoughts.
Well, Charlton, I don't think they took their foot off the gas at any point. If you look at the shots on goal that they attempted against Montreal, they kept the pressure on the Habs all night long, Charlton. It's just a couple of shots went awry when you think about them hitting the goal post. They had every intention on winning the game, but, you know, they're just as happy winning the game in front of their home crowd, securing the Stanley Cup for the second consecutive year, Charlton. It was great to have Montreal in the Stanley Cup Finals this year, once again being represented by a Canadian team, something we have seen too few of over the past decade, Charlton, in the NHL, because it's been American team dominant. But to have the halves in, and when you think about it, this is the first time that they've been in since 1993.
Wow.
Being in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
Think about this also in contrast. This is the first time that the Phoenix Suns have been in the NBA championship game, Charlton, since 1993.
Wow, that's a lot of good stuff cooking in the atmosphere, Big C. It's all fair and love and war. Wishing them nothing but the best. But I do believe also, No Way Out! There's a song called No Way Out back in the day, and I'm sure when them good old boys get the Canadians go down to Tampa Bay and see all that lightning, Big C, there might be no way out, and they may just try to fill Lord Stanley's Cup with a lot of libations. I wish both teams nothing but the best. Also, one more thing I want to pay homage to Canada. You know, we pay homage to Canada in every show. Montreal, it really showed out. Their fans were amazing. I know there were more outside of the arena, but Big C, that's what you look for, especially when the whole country gets behind their team. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, that's normal for Canada, Charlton. You have to understand the history of hockey and the history of the Montreal Canadiens. They've always had more fans outside an arena than on the inside. Until they moved to the Bell Center, Charlton, the Forum in Montreal only seated 8,000 fans.
Okay.
So it was much easier to have them outside than what it was inside. I mean, very tight confines that they had in that historic arena prior to this new digs that they play in now.
Yeah, Big C, where do they go to the restroom when they're outside that many people, 25,000 people, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when it's dark, no one pays attention.
In space, no one can hear you screaming. When it's dark outside, no one can hear you releasing yourself. It's all fair and love and war. Big C, I want to turn to a game that's being played down in the heat and humidity of Arizona. I don't know if Arizona has a lot of humidity, but it does have a lot of heat, Big C. And sometimes I'm sure we'll hear Devin Booker for 3. It's all fair in Leavenworth. We're not going to hear Giannis, but we might hear Drew Holiday for 3. It's all fair in Leavenworth 2021 NBA Finals. Their preview, Big C, Phoenix Suns versus the Milwaukee Bucks, Big C, the Western Conference champion. Phoenix Suns, been 2.5 decades, Big C, and the Eastern Conference champion Milwaukee Bucks meet in the 2021 NBA Finals. It's been since the early 70s that they got there, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, as you stated on many terms, Charlton, that this is a chase for money, not a chase for a championship.
Yep.
It's a chase for money.
Yeah.
So this is about two teams getting together, Charlton. That this is their first bite. You know, one of them will walk away with the Larry O'Brien Trophy for the first time in their franchise history. I mean, when you think about these two combatants, Charlton, I mean, Phoenix has gotten here the easy way.
Yeah.
Every team that they played throughout the playoffs have had key players injured, so they really haven't had to deal with that. And even going into the finals, they have a key player injured in Milwaukee, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and which I think his injury is a little more serious than everybody has led on. I think it's a Kevin Durant type of injury that he can go out there and finish blowing out the knee and have surgery. I would just rest him, you know, as far as I can. But, you know, when I look at this series, Phoenix may have the best athlete. I think Milwaukee has the most tenacious players.
Yeah, I mean, Drew Holiday thought the 4th of July holiday was named after him, the way he was doing defense in the final against the Atlanta Hawks, Big C. And Phoenix has a lot of great young players. And the Suns and the Bucks, when you think about it, Big C, especially they beat the Los Angeles Clippers and the Atlanta Hawks, two teams, the Clippers were expected to be there. The Hawks were not expected to be there, but that shows you how good a job the great Nick McMillan did, earning that mint truck that's going to be pulling up to his doorstep, Big C. But in the conference finals, those teams, they failed to win. And now we have the Suns and we have the Bucks. I think if you're going to cook a buck, you want to turn the heat up really high, Big C. It's the first final since 1993 for Phoenix and the first since 1974 for the Milwaukee Bucks. How they got here, Big C? The Phoenix Suns, as you mentioned, they beat the Los Angeles Lakers without star player Anthony Davis in the first round. Also the Denver Nuggets without their star player, the great Jamal Murray, who was doing his thing before he got injured. In the second round, the LA Clippers did it without the great Kawhi Leonard. In the conference finals, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you know, when you say teams are not supposed to be there, I beg to differ. Everybody starts the season with aspiration to make it into the championship. Otherwise, why play the season? Just sit at home on the couch and collect your money. But they want to collect a ring. That's the holy grail of any professional athlete, carrying a ring and a championship, Charlton. So these teams that are there thought that they would be there at the start of the season. Otherwise, they would not play. I mean, you look at Atlanta. They fired Coach Lloyd Pierce because the team was underperforming and installed McMillan to get them to the Eastern Conference Final. But the Milwaukee Bucks under Budenholzer had just too much. I mean, when you think about the Milwaukee Bucks over the last 3 years, they've been the best team in the Eastern Conference in the NBA. They just don't have a title to show for it. And then when you look at the upstart, you know, Phoenix Suns, they were the best team in the bubble last year. They won 8 consecutive games. They were the only team in the bubble that was undefeated. So that was a jump start to the season that they had this year. They added, you know, Chris Paul to the equation. And look how this team just exploded. I mean, their young players have grown up. They played exceptional basketball. And even when they had players injured, you got to understand, Chris Paul was injured throughout the playoffs also. So he wasn't 100% going against those other teams.
He had a shoulder issue also. COVID is also fair in Leavenworth, Big C. So the Suns still may have rolled through healthy additions of those teams, all of whom were inferior during the regular season when you think about the heat that the Suns exhibited, Big C. But when you think about this, they've dealt with their own, albeit more fortunate set of circumstances in the playoffs, including Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer Chris Paul, Big C, King Chris Paul, their shoulder injury, his COVID-19 diagnosis. The great Devin Booker, who's like a shadow image of the late, great Kobe Bryant, in just my opinion, Big C, dealing with that. Also the broken nose of Cam Payne, rolled ankle, Cameron Johnson's illness, the sum total of their rotation lost is 3, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, like I said, the Suns were not a healthy team going through the playoffs.
Yeah.
So people can use all the excuses that the teams that they beat weren't healthy either.
Yeah.
But, they had the fortitude to pull through it when other teams wanted to be on the limp.
Yeah.
They didn't think about it in that aspect. And the Suns, they were the second best team in the West this year.
Yeah.
So, and at one point, the last week of the season, they could have won the Western Division.
Yeah.
So who's to say that they were not the best team in the West overall, even those teams that they beat?
Yeah.
Should have fallen to them because they were better on paper and record-wise than all of the teams that they played. And
Yeah.
then when you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, like I said, they've been the best team in the NBA East for the past 3 years. You
Yeah.
think about what Budenholzer has done with his team. They had the best record in the NBA 3 years ago. They had the second best record in the NBA last year.
Yep.
They fell to fourth place in the East this year, but when you look at that accumulative, you got players who have the desire and the ability to win.
Yeah, and the ability to win. They say when you get an injury, put some ice and then put some heat on it. The heat for the Phoenix Suns has been in the playoffs what Phoenix was doing during the regular season. Their starting lineup fits together very well as any in the league, anchored by the great King Chris Paul, Big C. Unrivaled command on the floor of Big C. Booker, who's a star rising in the desert. Pure shooting ability. The great DeAndre Ayton out of Arizona. His ascent as a true center whose game transcends modern offenses. The Suns feature effective backups which will play a role in this series at every position. But Ayton, when you think about King DeAndre Ayton, Big C, he is an apparent weakness that has yet to bite them because he's a 22-year-old young man. He's a 7-footer, and he's largely avoided foul trouble, Big C. Your thoughts?
He's been tremendous for the Phoenix Suns, Charlton. What people have, misstated is how good he's been offensively. He shoots 71%
Yeah.
from the floor in the playoffs. This is an all-time NBA record. What he is doing, and if he can continue that pace, he'll hold that record.
Yeah.
But his Achilles heel right now is going to be his defense.
Yeah.
When you think about the size that the Milwaukee Bucks present, Charlton, that no other team that they've played presents to him, that could be a problem for Ayton. When you think about Lopez at 7'1", he probably outweighs him by 40 to 50 pounds also.
Yeah.
So he can put a body on him. And you think about Porter. Porter can come in there, and he's 6'10".
Yeah.
And he's been so athletic in the playoffs that both of these players will present a problem for Ayton.
Yeah.
I don't expect to see Giannis in the first two games.
No.
All Milwaukee is seeking to do is go into Phoenix and get a split. Once they get back home, they'll do a reevaluation of where they are.
Yeah, but in order for a Buck to get back home, it can't get cooked on that road, Big C. Speaking of the Bucks exercise the demons of last year's playoffs in the first round, Big C, sweeping the Miami Heat, team that had ousted them in the 2020 Eastern Conference semifinals and went on to lose to the LA Lakers in the NBA Bubble Championship in kind of embarrassing fashion. But they too benefited, Big C, from injuries to James Harden, when you think about that flamethrower for the Brooklyn Nets, the great Kyrie Irving, who dribbles like Curly Neal from the Harlem Globetrotters, and that happened in the second round. And that Kevin Durant wore his shoes just a little bit too small for his feet, Big C. You know how sometimes people wear smaller shoes to make their feet look smaller? That's what Kevin Durant failed to wear that day, and his feet was on the line. He was got up in that series. But it required overtime in Game 7 to beat the miraculous playoff performance by the great Kevin Durant. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, if all the ifs and buts were put in the nuts, what a Mario Christmas it will be.
Yeah.
This is par for the course for Kevin Durant. He hasn't won other than being in Golden State.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hype put behind him,
Yeah.
but he's still never delivered in OKC. Now he hasn't delivered in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But when you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, they've suffered injuries also. Their sixth man, Devin Shinzis, he's been out all playoffs, and he has not been there for them to count on.
Yeah.
That's 16 points out of the scoring rotation that they lost in that thing. Bobby Portis has stepped up, though, coming off the bench. But when you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, now that they've lost Giannis, they've had injuries at different levels throughout this series.
Yeah.
But this is a team that is pulled together with substance and futility and stayed the course, Charlton, and has made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, that's very well said. I want to ask you, though, in the conference finals, Milwaukee avoided Philadelphia 76ers, who could not survive a severely limiting knee injury to the great Joel Embiid and an absolute offensive meltdown by the great $100+ million Ben Simmons, Big C. Instead, the Bucks faced the 5th-seeded Hawks, those flying Hawks that came out of the South like the Birds movie from Alfred Hitchcock back in the day, who's lost rising superstar Trae Young to an ankle injury at Big C. And the ankle injury had nothing to do with the game. He stepped out of bounds on the referee's foot, and that's what it causes ankle injury at Big C. If he were rushing down the court to play defense, maybe that wouldn't have happened, but those things happen. But you think about games 4 and 5 were affected by that. That should have been a shorter series, I think. Of course, Milwaukee also lost two-time MVP, the great King Giannis Antetokounmpo, to a hyperextended knee midway through Game 4, and still managed to win Games 5 and 6, handily behind bona fide supporting actors by the name of Drew Holiday, who thought the 4th of July was named after him. And then also 3-point champion Chris Middleton, Big C, Brook Lopez, Bobby Porter Jr., Pat Callington, Big C. These good old boys have kept their coach employed. That's my opinion. Is that a far statement to make, Big C? Your thoughts?
Budenholzer is going to be the coach of Milwaukee, win, lose, or draw, Charles, and he's been that good. He's done that good of a job. You've had players that have not delivered. Middleton, he's played lights out this year in the playoffs, Charles. Middleton has disappeared the last 2 years in the playoffs. He's been an Achilles heel for the Milwaukee Bucks. And like I said earlier, a player that they're really missing right now is Devin Sixton. That's 16 points out of the lineup every game, Charles, that the Milwaukee Bucks have been without, throughout the playoffs.
Yeah.
But Drew Holiday, this guy is an all-star player, offensively and defensively.
Yep.
He has stepped up, and I think that Giannis being out of the lineup has really assisted these players in larger roles that they feel they must play.
Yep.
When you think of back-to-back games, when you got Middleton scoring 23 in the fourth, scoring 20 in the third.
Yeah.
You look at Drew Holiday scoring over 30 points in the closeout game. Bobby Portis Jr. has averaged over 15 points a game in the playoffs that he's been active in, Charlton.
Yeah.
So Covington has been knocking down threes periodically.
Yep.
But Brook Lopez has really grown up in these playoffs and shown that he's a dominant player. In the last game, he had a playoff career high of 33 points against the Hawks.
Yep.
He took control of the paint physically, and that's what he's going to have to do against the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, the song by the SOS band back in the day said, "Baby, we can do it. Take your time, do it right." When they had Giannis out of the game, everyone was trying to show they could do it, and Lopez was painting the center like he's a carpenter. Big C, it's all fair and love and war. The Bucks have for years now been a dominant regular season team, balancing elite defense with high efficiency offense. And then you think about their offense failed them in the postseasons past when Giannis Antetokounmpo's inability to score outside of 5 feet, the great Drew Bledsoe, actually Eric Bledsoe at the time, kind of a disappearing act, made them somewhat mortal. But trading Bledsoe for a Holiday, everybody buys gifts for the Holiday, Big C, and then they open them for the Holiday. It gave the offense another playmaking dimension, Big C, and strengthened a defense that now ranks number 1. When you think about it, they rank number 1, Big C, in the playoffs, and still everything hinges on the health of King Giannis Antetokounmpo. Big C, your thoughts?
And I take a different version of that. This team is better without Giannis. Giannis is a one-dimensional player, a guy who's trying to pirouette in the paint, and if you play zone defense from him, you shut him down. That's what Miami did to him last year in the playoffs. They said, Giannis, go ahead on and shoot the three, but you won't come to paint with the teardrop. And that's where the Milwaukee Bucks have fallen short. Now that Giannis is not in there, Charlton, that lane is more open, and for Lopez to dominate, he doesn't mind going down into the paint shooting. And if he sits out there to three, he's a much better three-point shooter than Giannis is. So they become a more complete team when you're not sitting there saying, we have to count on this one individual. Without him, we can't get anywhere. They proved it in the last 2 games against the Atlanta Hawks, Charlton. In my conclusion, that they were a better team without Giannis, and I think they'll go in and get a minimum of a split against the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, but do you really think they're a better team without Giannis when Giannis is a former two-time MVP and a guy that actually got 40 in a playoff game? Big C, your thoughts?
Yeah, but what is a superstar in the NBA? A superstar is what the media makes him and what the officials allow him to be. You're going to tell me that if you watch what Middleton did in the last 3 games, Charlton, in the playoffs, knocking down, averaging 32 points a game. You look at what Drew Holiday did in the last game, getting 32 points also. You look at what Lopez, he's got 33 in the last game. These guys played together as a collective unit because they weren't sitting there standing back watching Giannis do his pirouette moves in the paint. Once you take Giannis out of the equation, you get back to fundamental basketball. And that's what the Milwaukee Bucks have done, Charlton. Not sitting there saying, we go through Giannis. No, we go through each other, and that's what has allowed them to get to the NBA Finals.
They say teamwork makes the dream work. It's all fair and love and war. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout, as we are looking at what's going. It's already started tip-off for Game 1 of the NBA Finals, the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns. We're going to do what's called the Big C Pause in the words of the former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. We'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio Podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. There's so many apps you can follow, and I really do appreciate the way things have grown with Big C Sports. Looking to be also in every media guide of the NFL for the 2021 season is all fair and love and war. I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like God said in Genesis 1:3, let there be light. Open your cell phones and say it. Play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see all of our apps pop up from all over the world. And I really do appreciate the way things have grown with Big C Sports. Big C, I want to touch on some NFL football. It's just about 65 days away from opening kickoff to the regular season. As you know, training camp is going to open up much sooner than that. It's all fair and love and war. They're already opened up in Canada for CFL football. It's all fair and love and war. What a great time of year. Baseball doing their thing. NBA's doing its thing. WNBA. And now football is about ready to kick off. But I want to get your thoughts. Just an opinion. I know sometimes you bring some of that southern hostility to the party, but hopefully you won't be too hostile. I know the heat makes you good old boys sweat down south. But ranking the NFL 7 worst NFL offseason trades, Big C, since the 2000 season. And it's just an opinion, but I want to get your thoughts. The offseason, Big C, is a time for optimism. And as the NFL executives reassess their rosters in the spring and summer, they occasionally see a trade as a way to improve the future of the organization, Big C. In reality, unfortunately, it doesn't always cooperate with that version. During the past 2 decades, the most glaring mistakes have often included a quarterback who simply did not pan out. Just an opinion. The worst trade of all, however, featured the AFC South team practically giving away an all-pro receiver for a running back in the most replaceable position. Although the NFL draft is during the offseason, and day trades and transactions only involving future picks are not considered. I want to get your thoughts. I know sometimes you and I don't agree. I know the Pac-12 plays better football than the SEC, but you guys get all those officials in your back pocket, and until we get the gambling guys to come in to be our commissioner. But number 7, the Raiders, Las Vegas. They like the Raiders of the Lost Ark. They don't know where they belong, but they're in Las Vegas now. And they riff on Antonio Brown in 2019. The Raiders sent a 5th round pick in the 2019 draft to Pittsburgh, Big C, and they received 0 production in return, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, 0 production. You can't get any production when you cut a guy, Dalton. But this is one of those foolish moves made by Mike Mayock and John Gruden out there, bringing in Antonio Brown and not really sitting down with the guy, finding out where he was mentally, wanting to play football. And they had a tumultuous relationship as short as it lasts, Charlton, and he ended up being jettisoned out of the Raiders camp, Charlton. He ended up in New England where they got rid of him after a game, but he ended up landing on his feet last year, ironically, and picked up another Super Bowl ring.
Isn't that something? Of all the problems that he had on and off the field, you know, people are so quick to throw people away because, oh, you're not perfect. Well, only Christ is perfect, and if you're not living in the glass house, don't throw stones. But even Bruce Arians didn't want him. It took touchdown Tom Brady to say, wait a minute, this guy can help us win. And Tom Brady even threw him a pass in the Super Bowl that got him more money because they do it for money, Big C. The ring is fine, but they help to get more money also. But if it wasn't
think about it. If you talk about more money, Charlton, he walked away from $33 million in Oakland.
Yeah.
So I think it was a little more than about the money. If you're willing to walk away from $33 million, because he told the Raiders to cut it.
Yeah.
$33 million he threw away. So he only made $1 million in Tampa, salary-wise.
Yeah.
So if it's not about the winning a championship, I don't know what $33 million means.
Yeah, but if you do a personality test, no one in their right mind would throw away $30 million for a ring that they can also sell when they go broke down the road. But it's all fair and love and war. Everybody does things for money. If not, they can play for free and donate their whole paycheck to charity, Big C. But when you think about Antonio Brown, and for any athlete, if you're not playing for money, donate all your money to Big C Sports Podcast. We'll gladly take it. Big C doesn't want it, but I will take it. It's all fair in love and war.
Do you understand what a fine is, Charlton? In professional sports, is donating your money to charity. Antonio Brown was fined when he was with the Raiders prior to being released. He actually paid more money to charity than what he received in his pocket from the Raiders.
And that's a good thing for charities. It's all fair in love and war. But when you think about how he ended up and he turned a bad thing into a good thing, that's called serendipity, Big C. After a bizarre string of off-season events, including frostbitten feet, if you believe he had frostbitten feet, Big C refusing to stop wearing a non-permitted helmet and reported a fight with general manager Mike Mayock, and the Raiders cut Brown, and never played a snap for Oakland outside of some preseason games. But he ended up with the last laugh. Less money, but the last laugh, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I mean, he ended up where he wanted to be on a championship team, Charlton. I mean, he made enough money in the NFL just to satisfy him for the rest of his life, Charlton. But when you think about the money he left on the table compared to what he made in Tampa, he signed a one-year contract for the first year he was in Tampa, Charlton. He signed a $4 million contract this year. So that's a total of $5 million. He left $33 million on the table with the Raiders.
Yeah, no one ever said he was a math genius. A lot of companies go out of business when they have $33 million in the hole. They have a foreclosed sign. It's all fair in love and war, Big C. Number 6 on that list is McNabb. He struggles with Washington. That was back in 2010, Big C. The long short is that it didn't happen. Washington sent a second and a third-round pick for McNabb, who posted a 5-8 record, Big C. In 13 starts, he threw more interceptions at 15 than touchdowns, Big C. And during that span is the 2010 season. That was not a good move, Big C. Your thoughts?
It wasn't a good move for the Washington football team, Charlton, the Washington Redskins of that era. You know, Donovan McNabb went to a team that was trying to rebuild and had no offensive structure, and they expected for him to be the savior.
Yeah.
Donovan McNabb's career went down in a hurry once he moved across town from Philadelphia to D.C., Charlton. But he, ironically, at the end of Donovan McNabb's career, which many people don't realize, he actually has more touchdown passes than 3-time Super Bowl champion Troy Aikman.
Wow, that's amazing. McNabb came out of Syracuse. Aikman came out of UCLA. And as you talked about, players go for opportunity. The following summer, Washington moved him to the Minnesota Vikings. At least the trade eventually landed running back Alfred Morris, if you recall. He was a key contributor for 3 years. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, Alfred Morris, Charlton, had back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons with the Washington Redskins in that era, Charlton, and he benefited greatly. And 2 years ago, he was the backup running back in Dallas when Ezekiel Elliott was put on suspension.
Yeah, why was Ezekiel Elliott put on suspension? Because he's in Dallas. They all get on suspension. That's why they're on Hot Knocks, Big C. Hopefully he won't be suspended before the Hot Knocks is recorded. It's all fair in love and war. Ezekiel Elliott, Big C. Number 5, when you think about it, the Bears, Chicago Bears, they lose their future All-Pro. The Chicago Bears moved from Olsen in the summer of 2011 and acquired a third-round pick from the Carolina Panthers. And the Panthers, Big C, unlocked an All-Pro. The primary target for Cam Newton, if you notice, the New England Patriots, they got some tight end, some new flesh blood tight end there for a touchdown. Cam Newton, Big C, but back to Olsen, turned in 5 straight 800-yard seasons with 3 consecutive 1,000-yard years. He twice earned second-team AP All-Pro recognition, catching passes from touchdown Cam Newton. He also played a pivotal role in winning the NFC in 2015, Big C. Your thoughts?
Now, Luke Olsen grew up in Carolina, Charlton, but this is typical of the Chicago Bears. Get rid of your best players and hope for something to come along that might be as good as them. Luke Olsen, you know, had a tremendous career with the Carolina Panthers. He just retired from the NFL after spending his final season in Seattle with the Seahawks, but the Bears walked out empty-handed out of this field.
Yeah. And usually when Chicago gets looted, no one walks out empty-handed. It's all fair and level with Big C. Number 4, how about them Cowboys? They all go in on Galloway down at South Fork Ranch, J.R. Ewing's ranch, Big C. Seattle slapped their franchise tag on Galloway and injured it in a massive trade win. Galloway went on to the Dallas Cowboys for a pair of first-round picks. And one of those picks, Big C, turned into Alabama running back Sean Alexander. That good old boy was running like touchdown Henry before Henry became touchdown Henry, who would eventually win NFL MVP while setting a league record for a single-season touchdown. The great Alexander also smashed Seattle's franchise record for yards and touchdowns. Big C, your thoughts?
You know, when you talk about somebody being fleeced, Jerry Jones thinks he's a deal maker.
Yeah.
He's a deal breaker, Charlton. When he went for Joey Galloway, brought him in, former Ohio State wide receiver, who had 2 All-Pro seasons in Seattle.
Yeah.
But once he got to Dallas, that the hat was too big on his head, Charlton, and he never was a shadow of himself again once he got to Dallas. But Sean Alexander, when you think about him, he set the single-season NFL touchdown record when he scored 27. And it was the NFL's MVP in the Seattle Seahawks, Charlton. It led them to a Super Bowl appearance against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you got to look at Jerry Jones and say, you've been hoodwinked.
He got $5 billion, Big C. He can afford a lot of hoodwinking. I'd rather be hoodwinked for $5 billion as opposed to not being hoodwinked and no $5 billion. It's all fair and level. The rumor had it when Sean Alexander came out of Alabama, Big C, and they brought him up to Seattle. He loved fishing. They say that good boy could fish. He was surprised that the people in Seattle were so kind, they actually throw your fish to you, Big C.
Well, Charlton, he carried a lot of slime up and down the sideline, Charlton. I mean, he was one of the best players in the NFL during his time. I mean, as a matter of fact, you think about an SEC running back, Charlton, dominating the Pacific Northwest, Pac-12 country.
Yeah, it's all fair level war, but when he got there, Mike Humphrey said, you don't need all those fishing poles, Big C. We gave you fish for free. It's all fair level war. And on the other hand, the great Galloway, he missed most of the 2000 franchise of the season because of his torn left ACL. He managed 2,279 yards and 11 scores over the next 3 seasons before Dallas traded him to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they couldn't wait to get him out of town. He was damaged goods when he got there. He was damaged goods when he left.
Yeah, damaged goods when he got there, but he'll keep that money in the bank. It's all fair in level. Well, I want to go number 3 on that list, Big C, and you may not agree with this, but it's just an opinion. The great Chip Kelly, who came also out of Oregon, Big C, he sends McCoy to Buffalo. The great McCoy was doing his thing. Kelly sent all-pro running back LaShawn McCoy to the Buffalo Bills, Big C, for linebacker Kiko Alonso. McCoy had 3,620 yards from scrimmage, Big C. When you think about that, that's a lot of running in the prior 2 years. Alonso, who Kelly coached at Oregon, had missed the previous season with an ACL injury, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, when you think about Shady McCoy, Charlton, he was the offense of the Philadelphia Eagles. And Chip Kelly felt that he was not a fit for the scheme that he was running. But, Chip Kelly, look at where he is now. He's at UCLA and still being unproductive. Shady McCoy ended up going on and getting a Super Bowl ring with the Kansas City Chiefs, Charlton. So Shady McCoy came out laughing in the end.
Yeah, laughing in the end. That UCLA team is loaded this year, Big C. I guess you'll find out when LSU gets that butt whipping out of the Rose Bowl.
Isn't pot legal in California, so it's probably loaded all the time.
It's all fair in level war, Big C. Some girls can run the fastest time in the Olympic trials, if that makes sense to you, Big C. McCoy played 3 seasons behind the Bills. It actually helped the organization snap an 18-year postseason drought, Big C. Alonso did not win a starting job in Philly, re-injured his knee, and went to the Miami Dolphins in a trade the following offseason. And the Eagles fired Kelly in December 2015 as he was trying to have NFL players run that, snap the ball every 13 seconds. You can do that in college, but when they wear an extra 100 pounds on the line, Big C, doesn't work out quite as well, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, he's had 2 jobs in the NFL, Charlton, and ran both of those franchises in the ground, Philadelphia and San Francisco. Now he's looking to do the same thing down at UCLA.
Yeah, he's all fair level where he's going to keep all that money they gave him for trying to have a college offense in the NFL. It doesn't make any sense. Hold on. Stop the presses. Number 2 on the list. This is not sacrilegious, so please put down your rocks and stones, Big C. But you have paperback Nick Saban. The Dolphins picked Culpepper over touchdown Drew Brees. That was back in 2006, Big C. The long story short, Miami passed on touchdown Drew Brees because of concerns about his shoulder injury, Big C, like the great Chris Paul was playing with tonight, but he's over that now. Instead, he traded for a second-round pick to Minnesota for Dante Culpepper. Culpepper played 4 games before a knee injury ended his season, and Miami released him the next summer. Touchdown Drew Brees set NFL records, Big C, in 7 career categories. But paperback Nick Saban, it wasn't good enough because he didn't understand it. You don't need to have paperbacks to be successful in the NFL. Saban left the Dolphins and started a paperback factory down at Alabama, Big C. The next season, the Dolphins went 1-5, and Nick Saban has built a paperback empire, Big C.
Well, when you think about Dante Culpepper, he was coming off a knee injury in Minnesota, Charlton, and Nick Saban made the horrific move in trading for him, and he just did not pan out in Miami. But when you think about what Nick Saban created, Charlton, he created 2 dynasties, one in the NFL and one in college football. By him not signing Drew Brees, it allowed the New Orleans Saints to make the move, and Sean Payton brought him in a hurry, he and Mickey Loomis. They established a relationship in New Orleans that over the next 15 years created nothing but NFL history and a Super Bowl victory for the New Orleans Saints. And then on the other side, when you look at what Nick Saban did by going to Alabama and changing the landscape of college football, creating the greatest dynasty in the history of college football. He has won 6 national championships at Alabama. He's had a host of Heisman Trophy winners, Charlton, and 39 number 1 draft picks in the NFL, into the NFL.
Yeah, he's done a lot for the University of Alabama. They've also cleared more trees back in the Alabama area to get more people, and they build houses on those trees so athletes have someplace to stay, if that makes sense. All fair at Level War Paperback Nick Saban. Number 1, and this is my opinion, the Texans send Hopkins to Arizona. This is recent, Big C, in 2020. For bizarre reasons, head coach, general manager Bill O'Brien sent DeAndre Hopkins, touchdown DeAndre Hopkins, Big C, to the Arizona Cardinals in the spring of 2020. Hopkins had racked up 8,602 yards, Big C, and 54 touchdowns in 7 years with Houston, despite some awful quarterback play during the first 5 seasons. O'Brien only received running back David Johnson, Big C. He's a second-round choice and a swap of 4th-round picks in return. Worse yet, Arizona may even have considered cutting Johnson and Big C that offseason before somehow building a trade for Hopkins around him. They should come as no surprise that the Texans fired O'Brien following an 0-4 start in 2020, and now they don't have a lot of good. And they got this issue with with Watson, and also they just have a whole new regime down in Houston. But it's not off to a good start. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, if you think about all the number 1 draft picks that O'Brien traded while he was the head coach and general manager in Houston, you can build a football team off of them alone. But to trade one of the top 3 wide receivers in the NFL for a bag of potato chips, Charlton, what you got in return in David Johnson, I mean, it's laughable. But, the Arizona Cardinals are very happy to have Hopkins in the fold. He most likely will lead the NFL in receptions coming up this next season, Charlton, with Kyler Murray staying healthy and being more entrenched in that offense in Arizona. Hopkins does not drop anything in his neighborhood.
Yeah, he doesn't drop anything in the neighborhood, Big C. It's all fair at Level War. I wish everybody nothing but the best, but that's just some thoughts on NFL. Again, you and I don't have to agree on things, but it's just to get an opinion, and everybody has them. I want to bring up something, Big C, that you and I talk about all the time, because it's real. I don't like conversation unless it's real conversation. That's just my opinion, and sometimes it rubs people the wrong way when you have real conversation. They just want you to be nice and don't point out the obvious thorn in somebody's side, Big C. We're in the business. It's a small world. In fact, it's a small universe when it comes to broadcasting. The sports broadcasting industry is not really rocked by storm as much as is revealed by storm. And I'm going to contribute this part of African American history because a lot of people got to open their eyes. Not everybody who says, hey, I'm pulling for success, really wants to see you swim. ESPN moves Rachel Nichols off of the NBA, the finals amid controversy, Big C. The great Prince sang about controversy back in the day. Think about this. Disney-owned sports media giant, we call it the mothership, said it would move its veteran basketball reporter, Rachel Nichols, who's Caucasian, off sideline duties for the NBA finals. Now, that's a start. Slated to be broadcast tonight at ABC and future Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Phoenix Suns and utilize, when you think about it, Michaela Andrews, Big C, instead of it grapples this new, I guess, scrutiny over how to handle the bizarre leak of Nichols on video appearing to disparage last year's decision to use Maria Taylor, who I think is phenomenal in the 2020 finals production. This is the same Maria Taylor who does host Game Day with the ESPN college football. She was also yelled at by Nick Paperback Saban, Big C, on national television. He's never yelled at a white woman the way he yelled at his beautiful black woman. That's my opinion. Before I finish up, I just want to get your thoughts on that so far, Big C.
Well, Charlton, I mean, you have to be careful of what you say. You never know when a mic is running, and that's what Maria Taylor was. Not Maria Taylor, but Rachel Nichols.
Yep.
Rachel Nichols ran her mouth when she thought that the microphone wasn't running or the camera wasn't running, Charlton. But I think what happens in this situation, Charlton, something like this, it shows someone's true color and flavor of what they are and how they think about other people.
Yeah.
What you say in the dark can come to light.
Yeah. The great Cindy Lauper, I see your true colors. Seeing true colors is always good. It's nice to know what color somebody is, especially when God said, let there be light. That's in Genesis 1:3. But Nichols was caught on video speaking about these matters to representatives of the great King LeBron James about ESPN's decision to have Maria Taylor, who is phenomenal, host the NBA Countdown during the 2020 NBA Finals. That's just my opinion. She has more of the look of a lady who would talk to the NBA players, and that's just an opinion, okay? My opinion. But her comments were recorded by a video camera she had left on and subsequently uploaded to ESPN's system, where the footage was discovered and distributed by an employee, Big C. Sometimes employees do those things. It's all fair in love and war. But Nichols was frustrated that she had gotten the role and suggested that ESPN's interest in paying more attention to diversity was a factor in her decision. So in my own intimation, I guess Nichols felt that being a white woman in an all-black industry, and she thought that she could get there without favoritism by the mostly white media producers that put a lot of our white brethren, men and women, in those roles where they cover NFL football players. About 70% of the league are black. NBA players, about 80% of the league is black. But you'll see mostly white people as reporters, play-by-play, broadcasters, field reporters, and they don't get there because of their ability to do the job. Oftentimes, they know someone with the same skin color that opened that door, and it's been that way since TV started. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, favoritism is what has gotten white women into broadcasting when you realistically look at it. In a male-dominated sport, to say that a woman is more knowledgeable and fluent about the game than what a male is who has spent his total life in that, Charlton, I think is an anomaly also when you look at it from that perspective. But to have people that are non-African-American, Charlton, attacking African-Americans because they are good and they feel that African-American shouldn't get that job because they're qualified. I mean, racism comes in all sizes and colors, Charlton.
Yeah.
And it's on the television every day that we look at.
Yeah, it's on the day, I think it was Don Imus, the late Don Imus in the morning, called beautiful African-American women nappy-headed hoes. And as an ugly white man, it didn't cost him other than a pause in his career, Big C. But let some black men get on TV and call white women nappy-headed hoes or bleached-out hoes. They'd be pulled from the air immediately to never appear again. And so, and I don't know Rachel Nichols, but I'm sure if she's honest, they say the truth will set you free. Like God said, Genesis 1:3, let there be light. That means there's so many things. But she knows that what she said, if it's according to my own experiences, Big C, it's often conversation that you hear as a white person in media when there's no one around but people who look like you. And even the great Jim Nantz was caught saying with Tony Romo, I'm so tired of this kneeling crap, as he's getting paid millions of dollars to broadcast black men. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, people feel that they have Teflon on them and that they can say whatever they want to say and it's not going to come back on. But as we live in a politically correct society, Charlton, your words will always come back and haunt you in these scenarios.
Yeah.
And when you work for the worldwide leader in sports, the Disney Corporation also, Charlton, you have to be fan and family friendly.
Yeah.
You can't come out there with an animus saying that you're better than somebody else because their color is not the same as yours.
Yeah. I remember the late Stuart Scott when he had that stick, booyah, booyah, booyah. As great as he was, they loved Stuart Scott because he was a little bit different. And then they had a lot of other guys too that have their own, Berman he had his own stick, Big C, to what he did. And going back to the wall, back, whatever. It works for everybody. It's all fair in love and war. But if everybody's going to work together and get along, you got to realize nobody's perfect. Sometimes an apology is a good thing. But there are times when people won't apologize because they feel all too comfortable being that way behind closed doors. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I think she may have come out and made apology, made a statement, Charlton, on the words that she said. And, you know, a lot of times when they make this apology, people will say that you took my statement out of context or, you know, I misspoke at the wrong time. You know, they start making excuses for themselves.
Yeah.
But sometimes when something is on audio, Charlton, it's actually the words that you stated.
Yeah.
No one misquoted you.
Yeah, I think the great Chris Tucker in the movie he was with, I think it's Rush Hour. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Yeah, we understand the words coming out of everybody's mouth. We speak all the time, Big C. Sometimes we say things that we're wrong about. Always come back and apologize. I was wrong about this. I apologize about that. Don't mean to offend anybody, but this is my opinion, and everybody has their opinion. It's all fair and level where maybe they would make up or maybe they won't. But hopefully the mothership would be more purposeful in the pursuit of diversity, and I'll leave it at that, Big C. The pitch. Hit deep. Right field. Back to the wall. Home run. Everybody's hitting home run in Major League Baseball. The girls love the long ball, and men love hitting it deep. It's all fair in Love War. I want to look at today's schedule. The Braves are at the Pirates, Big C. The Blue Jays are at the Orioles. The Milwaukee Brewers are at the New York Mets. It's rain delayed. But then the Dodgers, they're down there in Miami, and they actually fell to the lowly Marlins, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, the Marlins hadn't won a game, Charlton, since who knows when. I think they had been on a 9-10-game losing streak.
Yeah.
And the Dodgers showed up. They got healthy in a hurry.
Yeah, well, they had already rolled off like 10 wins. It's all fair and level. Or maybe that heat and humidity got to them inside of that dome. The Philadelphia Phillies at the Chicago Cubs. The Detroit Tigers at the Texas Rangers down there in Texas. Texas has built like a brand new, beautiful stadium. I thought the old one was okay, but oil money can do that for you. The Oakland Athletics, also down in Texas at the Houston Astros. Big C, Houston, I guess every stadium in Houston has a dome for football and baseball, and of course basketball. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, it's the climate that you wanted fans and players to be comfortable in, playing in pristine conditions, Charlton, so you create those elements. But the thing about those domes, they have retractable roofs.
Yep, they have retractable roofs. It's all fair level war. The Cincinnati Reds at the Kansas City Royals in Kauffman Stadium. Same kind of humidity in Missouri that you have down in Texas, I guess, but no dome for the Royals. The Chicago White Sox and the Minnesota Twins. And just having fun with Tony La Russa. Tony La Russa has proven that if you take a nap, Big C, sometimes you are more productive in life, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, he's taken his previous two teams to World Series appearances, and he's trying to replicate that with the White Sox.
That's why we do the Big C pause, so we can take that 5-second nap on every show. It's all fair and love and war. Looking to be featured in every NFL media guide for the 2021 season. It's all fair and love and war. The Boston Red Sox decided they wanted to go down and say, what's all this fuss about this great Japanese player called Shohei Ohtani? Shohei Ohtani is more popular than Mickey Mouse in Disneyland, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, but he still took the Boston Red Sox yard, Charlton. Shohei Ohtani doesn't care who shows up. He just needs participation from the rest of his teammates.
Yeah, he said, hey, you think you came here to see a mouse? I'm not afraid of a mouse. And he went yard. It's all fair in love and war. You have the Colorado Rockies at the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're going to have Coors Field up in Colorado to see the home run derby. Can't wait to see that coming up in about a week, Big C. Now you also have the St. Louis Cardinals, the city's famous by the Arch, Big C. And they're at the City by the Bay, the San Francisco Giants, and they got the better of the Giants yesterday, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, yeah, Giants living on their laurels and saying that they were the best team in the West, Charlton, and got beat up.
Yeah, but they are the best record in the West, and partly due because of those seagulls scare people as they fly in and try to die for French fries. You ever have a seagull have such balls, Big C, that is willing to fly in and take your French fries while you're eating them, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I stay out of those open dome stadiums.
It's all fair in level war, Big C. And it goes great with the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats. The New York Yankees, Big C, they're up in the great Northwest, and the Seattle Mariners. You would not expect the most successful franchise in Major League Baseball, being the New York Yankees, Big C, to be right before the All-Star break, talking about making some changes, maybe even with their manager, maybe even getting rid of the judge, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, everybody's on the hot seat in New York. I mean, this is a troubling team. Even Brian Cashman, the general manager, has talked about him moving, Charlton. But when you look at the Yankees, I mean, what people are doing is living on expectations and not reality.
Yeah. what goes up must come down. They will find their way around again. Sometimes you get used to so much success. It's just a matter of time, like a roller coaster that goes up, and then it goes down and back around. It's all fair and level war. The Washington Nationals, they're down in San Diego, California, beautiful San Diego, California, at Petco Park. They want to see Tatis Jr. go yard. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, the Nationals have been on a heater, Charlton, and when you think about how well this team has played, they're going to challenge for the American League East. And you look at Kyle Schwarber, Charlton, he's been tearing up the deep ball.
Yeah, been tearing up the deep ball. Everybody tears up the deep ball like they tear up the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats. I appreciate everybody doing their thing, whether it's across the pond at Wimbledon and trying to win the tennis matches, Big C. Nadal, Djokovic doing their thing. NBA basketball universe tonight down in the Valley of the Sun, Big C, in the desert known as Phoenix. We have oftentimes this time of year, we're seeing Golden State, we're seeing the Lakers, we're seeing Cleveland, or if you even want to go back to seeing Miami in the finals, Big C, or it's a matter of time before the NBA goes through changes. And with these changes, you have an elder statesman of the NBA named King Chris Paul, Big C. He's going to take all of that leadership, 16 years of leadership, to try to corral a bunch of young go-to boys like Devin and also, Booker and also Ayton, and try to mold them into being a champion like he does on the State Farm commercials, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, the thing about Chris Paul, Charlton, being an elder statesman at 16 years in the backcourt means he doesn't have the legs to run up and down the floor with the young guys. I think Milwaukee's going to have to play a tempo game to get Paul out of his rhythm, Charlton, because that's going to leave him behind.
Yeah.
And so, the Phoenix Suns are going to have to go younger in the backcourt and spell Chris Paul more frequently.
Yeah.
But the Milwaukee Bucks, I think, have the team and the speed to run down the Suns.
It's all fair and level war. Middleton has to do his thing. Holiday has to think the 4th of July holiday is still celebrating. Big C has to do his thing. But then the guy who dropped 33 points in the paint, the great Lopez, Big C, out of San Joaquin Memorial in Stanford, he has to also show Ayton that this is the real deal. And you're not taking a back seat if you're the Bucks because you don't have Giannis. You're going to have a team basketball. I look forward to seeing what Phoenix does, the adjustments. I look forward to seeing what the Milwaukee Bucks will do with the adjustments. Last I checked, a Buck tastes better when it's well cooked, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the Bucks, like I said, come in with the more experienced team. They've been close to this position before. They've been battle-tested.
Yeah.
They've gone to the playoffs. They suffered the injuries like everybody else. But they've played better with Giannis out of the lineup. So I think it's to their advantage that without Giannis in the lineup, you have more of a balanced scoring across the board, and Phoenix can't lock down on one player. When you look at Phoenix, they only have one player really with any playoff experience, and that's Carroll. So when he go beyond them, all of this is new for everybody in the Phoenix lineup.
Yeah.
Chris Paul has always been hurt, but Carroll is the only one that has final, experience for the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
So this is a team that's learning on the fly.
Yeah, it's all fair 11 war. I wish him nothing but the best. Some NFL talk on the golf course. Touchdown Aaron Rodgers telling Phil Mickelson to shut up Tom Brady's personalized golf balls. And guys just talking stuff in their match, Big C. I didn't get to see it, but did you see some great quarterbacks and some great golfers going at it, Big C? Your thoughts?
No, Charlton, it was something that didn't interest me today. When I watched golf, which I have not watched in over a year since Tiger Woods was competitive, these matches like this have no interest for me.
Yeah, it's all fair and level. Well, I wish everybody nothing but the best. Greg Popovich says Team USA to demand a lot from Kevin Love. Everybody needs love, and I hope that everybody can share love. You can have love all the time when you follow Big C Sports. Big C, a man who knew about love back in the day. There was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, you flow like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, you rumble, young man, rumble. With all you've got to use, how can you lose? Big C, what are you looking forward to in this sports universe?
Well, Charlton, we finally got into game one of the NBA championship, and I know you say it's not about the ring, it's about the money, so we'll see who can win the most money in this best-of-7 series between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns. Once again, I want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, doctors, and first responders They're not worried about how deep your pocket is, Charlton. Only want to take care of and heal the wounds that you have.
They want to do like Mass, take care of the sick and heal your wounds. You can heal your wounds too when you rise and shine every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide when you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America, and iHeartRadio podcast, Big C Sports Podcast. It is all fair and love and war. As people, my mom always says, there's never ever an excuse for racism. Come on, Rachel Nichols, or domestic violence, and that no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports film, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.